A feel-good Friday edition of the Daily Ticket coming your way. Let's go. Final four, 1 day away till we get to see who plays in the Natty on Monday in San Antonio. A lot to discuss as far as the weekend is concerned. And dare I say, the biggest Philadelphia Phillies series in the first week of April in franchise history. 610. I kid. Joe Tansey joining me here on this frontier venture, and we got a lot to discuss. Joe, good afternoon. Good morning. How we doing, sir?
You're kind of underselling it, right? Isn't it like the most important series against the Dodgers ever in the regular season for the Phillies, right?
It's got my attention. Does it have your attention?
I'm not paying attention to my baseball team right now, so of course it does. My baseball team is 0-7. So, yeah, my baseball fandom doesn't exist until May.
Well, with a special appearance by the Miami Marlins, that might do you well this weekend. So,
absolutely. I'm going to send the group text on Sunday. The Braves swept the Marlins, and the baseball season has started. That's absolutely going to happen.
All right, we're going to have some fun here. Of course, a lot of discussion will be focused on the four final remaining teams, all 4 1 seeds, and dare I say, tough games to handicap. For some, for me, I'm seeing a little bit clearer, but that don't mean a damn thing at the end of the day. So it's 4 1 seeds. It should be difficult, right? But we got to start off with this. If Villanova wins the crown, Joe Tansey, do they get a parade?
I think Mike Nardi's got to be the head coach. Kevin Willard's contract has to be ripped up. I mean, right? That's got to be the case. The prestigious college basketball crown.
Let me just back that up for a second, because I would just wonder if Nova fans had their choice, if Mike Nardi leads them to a crown championship, 2 more victories. They won last night.
I love that we're starting with this. I love it.
You know, this team was in the dumps. They couldn't figure out a way to close games, and they finally have. They're winning tough games. Last night was a game they lost 10 out of 10 times last year and this year included under Kyle Neptune. For some odd reason, Dixon made his shots last night. They played good defense. And, oh, by the way, the kid from USC missed a point-blank layup. If you have not seen that, it's crazy. He goes up under 3 guys, reverse under the rim, English on the ball, and the ball just stops on the front of the rim. And you would think it's going to fall through the hoop, through the cylinder, and it does not. It's pretty crazy to see that play out. Anyways,
here's the real question for you.
Mm-hmm.
If Villanova had fired Kyle Neptune in like February, and they played for Mike Nardi, and Nardi took them to the NCAA tournament.
Oh my God, he's your next head coach.
Is he the guy?
Absolutely.
100%. I think that's the thing you have to go through right now. Like, now in the long term, would it probably be the right decision? Maybe not. Like, he's only been an assistant, and look, keeping it in the family didn't work. But I think Willard for the Big East is a good hire. I think he kind of had to get out of where he needed to be. The Maryland thing's just a dumpster fire, and the whole house settlement with all the money that's coming that the Big East can use on NIL and get these guys in the portal. And look, they've done it. It's just that they couldn't execute. I mean, they had Bamba last year, who ended up going to Oregon after Villanova. So they've been able to get, and there's been a handful of other guys. So they've been able to get guys in the portal. That's not been the issue. It's now you're looking for higher level guys in the portal, and hopefully, I mean, look, the Big East is winnable. UConn's on a relative downturn. Look, St. John's is going to be competitive, but it's there for the taking with just one season. I mean, look, it's college basketball now. One season, you can flip everything.
Yeah,
that's just how it works.
It's a bigger question, and we're having fun with it because Willard's the guy. No ifs, ands, buts about it. But there is more expectations. It's a bigger job than just, hey, can you coach these guys and be, a better in the X's and O's in the final 2 minutes of the game. It just is when it comes to head coaching of a program like Villanova. Could Nardi be effective as far as recruiting? I don't know. Willard obviously has done it for a much longer time than Nardi. And he
I
has,
think they're keeping him on as an
yes,
assistant.
they are, which is good. And that
Yeah.
answers your problems right there. I mean, that
Mhm.
combines the two right there. So good. Having some fun. I'm happy. We know how important Villanova basketball is to that university, to the fans. And I know that they're having fun with it tongue in cheek, but they're watching, and you know what? Good for them. If they can find two
They
ways.
could be the first ever crown champion. Nobody can take that away from you.
I mean, they're in the Final Four. It's not to say what Final Four they are in, but they're in the Final Four. So, again, it
How
was a
many
fun
teams
game.
can say they've made the Final Four this year?
That's
Spin
it.
some.
That's it. You're right about that. All right. From the crown, and then let's get on over to the real Final Four with all love and respect. And
I thought we were just going to transition into more fake basketball with the Sixers.
We are going to get into the Sixers because a game that we like to play on the Daily Ticket is who is that guy? And we had another episode last night where I turned on the game because I turned off all notifications for everything Philadelphia 76ers related. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Stopped doing it about a month ago when they signed some dude off of the scrap pile, and I'm like, all right, I'm out. Like,
see, here's the problem with playing this game with me is I'm a college basketball junkie. And
good.
I'm fairly certain I've heard of all of these guys.
Good.
You
Well,
have
that's
to
perfect.
really stump me.
All right. Well, they haven't pulled anybody off the scrap heap from Europe. So these guys have been playing some basketball as far as collegiate is concerned. So you should know. But we had another episode last night where I'm like, look at this guy. Are you kidding me? And I know how good these guys are. I get it. But come on, man. They're not NBA players. They shouldn't be representing the Philadelphia 76ers, but that's the scrap heap that we are in right now. The dumpster fire that is. But let's get over to the Final Four. Come on, let's talk about San Antonio. Of course, we got 2 games on a Saturday night. And Joe, I can't wait. 3 games if we do include the Crown, Nebraska, Boise State. I kid. But 6:09 p.m. on Saturday, we got Florida and Auburn, and then immediately following it, Houston and Duke. No line movement here on DraftKings. We do have some slight line movement in Houston and Duke. No line movement in the first game, Florida and Auburn, holding steady at 2.5, 159.5. The bump that we did have in the Houston Duke game now up to 136.5 from 135.5 yesterday. So money coming in on the under, which is what Ryan Beef Coyle said to me 2 days ago, Joe, that he did think that we were going to see a little bit better defense, slowing down both games. I don't think anybody should be surprised with Houston in there, albeit, though, going up against a really good offense in Duke. But let's open up with Florida and Auburn first. And, you know, the first thing that everybody goes to, we keep it simple here, is the only time that they matched up back on February the 8th, where Florida was an 11-point dog and went in and won by 11, they were 11-point dog, and I think they won outright. Excuse me. They won outright. So I saw Joe Fortenbaugh this morning say that Auburn is his play, Joe Fortenbaugh from ESPN, and he said specifically his reason is this. Want to know if you buying, selling, or just eh.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he is on Auburn due to the simple fact that when they did play on February 8th, Florida was catching 11 points, and now you're making them the favorite. He just feels like that's a reach and too many points and should not be. The wrong team is favored essentially as well. Do you agree with him on any of that? Do you think there's some truth in what he's saying, that Florida should not be favored due to what we saw on February 8th, what the odds were then? Yeah, Auburn had a little bit of a spot where they were leaking some oil, but they're bounced back in a big way. They are the overall 1 seed for a reason. Where are you at with that one?
I mean, Auburn was 9-0 in the SEC and playing at home in that game. Florida, at that point in the season, was 6-3 in SEC play with losses to Tennessee and Kentucky. And at that point, they hadn't played Auburn yet. They only played them once. They didn't play Alabama yet. So if you're going off of that sample size in SEC play, a loss to Kentucky and a split with Tennessee, and both of those losses were on the road. And oh, by the way, just before that, a week before that, they lost 64-44 to Tennessee. So, I mean, there's credence in what the odds were at that time. Should it have been that high? Probably not. But, I think there's reasoning behind it. Now, since then, look at what Florida's done. Since even losing to Tennessee on February 1st, they have one single loss. Like the win over Auburn was one of the catalysts to get them going and really become a number one seed. But at that point in the season, I don't think anybody could tell you that Florida was going to be a number one seed. Auburn, yes, because it's been Duke and Auburn pretty much the entire season that everybody's been talking about as the top teams in the country. Florida and Houston eventually joined them, and I think Houston probably quicker than Florida. So I'm not going to buy that logic. If you just simply look at where things were at that point in the season, well, yeah, of course. Like, why would you believe in Florida? They've just been so much better since February 1st. But on February 8th, Auburn was the significantly better team.
Yeah, and from where we're at now, both teams are playing super high basketball. There's no surprise that both of them are currently in the Final Four. I think a lot of America filling up brackets had them here. But if you were one of these people like us that do watch a lot of college basketball, you know how good both of these teams are.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I said to start the show, anybody that tells you, man, I know how it's going, like, BS. I have a future ticket on Duke to win it all. I've said it 100 times. I would not bounce off of Duke in a set. Like, I would take Houston if I thought Houston would win.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Duke's going to win that game, but it's not going to shock me. It won't surprise me if Houston wins. Houston's battle tested. Kelvin Sampson's a hell of a coach. They have great defense. Like Duke's pups. Like, they got some young guns out there. Houston has some dudes, like they can get physical. And that would probably be my approach if I was Houston. It's been their approach all season, is to out physical, let the guards do all the scoring. Everybody else just box everybody out, get out of the way, own the lane, and we'll see. But it wouldn't shock me. Like, both of these games are going to be extremely tough to handicap here. But staying with Florida and Auburn, where are you at total? Where are you at with spread? Me, I think Florida wins this game. I do. And a lot has to do with the fact of the spread, because I thought when the game came out, if you were going to make somebody favored, it would have been Auburn. I'm not saying the wrong team is favored. That's not what I'm saying. But the odds makers loved Auburn all season long. And then all of a sudden you're at this game, this point of the season, and you're dangling a carrot, one more win, and you are going to the national championship. And Florida's favored? I just think something's going on there. So I'm going to ride with the Gators on this one. I feel pretty good on it. Total 159.5. I could ride with Beef, thinking that we're going to see a little bit more defense, but I think you're rolling the dice with what we know about those two teams and what they've done all season long scoring. So I don't really have much of a play on that one, but I do like Florida. Where are you at?
I think your perception of the game depends on how effective you think Janai Broom's going to be, right? I think that has to be completely baked into what we're talking about with the odds. I mean, it didn't look great when he left the game against Michigan State. I think he said something along the lines of, like, I'm done or I'm good, something like that, after he got hurt. He came back. I think it would take – he'd probably have to get his leg amputated to not play in a game like this. I think you could say that for anybody across the board. So I think it comes down to what you think Janai Broom's effectiveness is going to be in this game. And if you think he's going to be significantly hampered by the injuries he's dealing with, then of course I think Florida would be a great play for you. I still think Auburn's the better team. And I know we did this thing at the start of the tournament where, Auburn lost, 3 out of 4 leading up to the tournament. Did they peak too early? They obviously, that didn't affect them whatsoever. And these teams,
No.
the elite of the elite, won these games. But I look at Florida. They had to struggle to get UConn. Like, UConn frustrated them. They got their best punch and barely survived. Texas Tech gave them their absolute best punch, barely survived. It was a 5-point win, but Texas Tech was in control for the majority of that second half before they blew it. Auburn, to me, has been a little more consistent. They've got all the wins by 6+ points. Yeah, you could say there's been stretches of games where Auburn has struggled, but they haven't waited until the end to break away. They've been pretty comfortable towards the end of all of their games, whereas Florida's had to sweat a little bit. And just going off of like overall performance in the tournament, again, yes, the Broom thing is massive. I just think Auburn's slightly better when it comes to overall team. And look, as much as people don't want to bake this in, there is a revenge factor. They beat him at Neville Arena back in February and put 90 on him. You think Bruce Pearl's not going to use that as motivation? I wouldn't use that as my first factor to picking Auburn, but I think how these teams have looked, again, the Broom injury, I understand if you flip because you're concerned about where he's at, but I'll take Auburn as the dog here.
Yeah, you're not alone. You're not alone. And from the revenge factor, and Joe is one of these guys that always looks for the those issues, those underlying storylines.
I look at everything.
Yeah, I know, but you are not one to miss any of those storylines. And I know that there's another revenge factor in the other game as well. So a lot of fun when you do put that around the conversation, and that's what it's all about, man. With these 4 teams, 2 games. All right.
The total is interesting, by the way.
Meaning why?
Because you're going to point to a 90 to 81 game that happened in February. A lot of scoring. And Florida scored over 75 in every game. Auburn scored over 75 in 3 of 4. Like, is it less of a feeling out process because they've seen each other already? They're familiar with how they play. I'd lean under, actually, in the game because I do think defense will be played. And I think in this instance, there's a lot of shot makers. Absolutely. But all you need is probably a 3 or 4 minute stretch here when you get a lot of defense, and you really need that in the first half. The second half in NCAA tournament games, who knows how the whistle's going to be like? Who knows how many free throws you're going to see? I mean, I think totals have had the most drama, right, in terms of betting swings in the last few minutes.
Yeah.
But I would lean under just because I think a little more defense gets played with the intensity of a Final Four.
Yeah, we know that chalk is played out. Straight up winners have been cashing left and right. Few spreads have been, played out in the final minute or so. But for the most part, you're right. It's been just totals, and that's it. Could be the case, like you said, with that, as far as like a tough 3-minute, 4-minute stretch, stays under the total. We do know that these 2 teams are capable to hit the gas pedal, but will we see that in this game, right? Like, won't we see the slowing down? Could we see Bruce Pearl going, it's in our best interest to just break this thing down, control what we can control. Let's move the ball around a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. Auburn playing some better defense. I'm with you. If I was taking a play on the total, I think this is an under. Hold your breath. It's going to be tough to watch, but 149, 150, 152, 151, like that's still a high scoring game and well under the total like that. All right. With that being said, to the nightcap, let's go Houston and Duke, number 1, both 1 seeds, not number 1 overall, excuse me. 5.5 Duke. It was up from 4.5 about 3 days ago. So we're holding steady at 5.5. As I said, total at 136.5. The difference here on this one, as far as the total is concerned, is that there are a lot of people out there going, oh, Houston's going to play their defense, and this is going to be a low-scoring game. And if they do, this game's going to stay under the total. This is going to be a rock fight. I have my biases, but I do believe that we are looking at some really great offensive players. Duke is they have some studs on that roster, and I just don't believe in this game, in this moment, that you're going to hold this team to 60 points. I just don't see it. Their team total is at 70. That's up there, but 136.5, if you maybe make a play, I'm going to take the over on that one. Again, I don't expect this to be 150. I think it's going to be close, but I do like Duke. I like Duke to come out on top. I think Duke's going to be able to score some points, but I won't be shocked if Houston is able to just slow this thing down, rock fight it to death, and defense is at a premium here. 5.5 though, Joe. That's a tough pill to swallow. That's a tough spread. So your thoughts?
By the way, because you know how I look up everything. The last Final Four in San Antonio was 2018. one semifinal, which was the Michigan Loyola Chicago game, 69-57. The championship game, which was the big DiVincenzo game for Nova,
Oklahoma.
79-62 final over Michigan there in the final. Nova scored 95 against Kansas, so there's two mildly low-scoring games. And then in 2008, Kansas beat Memphis in overtime 75-68, but only one team in the Final Four scored over 80 points. If you really care about those things.
Definitely do.
They're not shooting inside a football stadium. So you can't use that as like they're getting used to it. So
isn't this like the location where they're dropping the curtain on half of it, right? Isn't that what the Alamo Dome is?
No, they did that in Indy though for the regionals.
Okay, gotcha.
Because they instead of playing at the Pacers Arena, they played at the Colts Stadium and dropped the curtain and kind of made it like a 30,000 seater. Yeah. No, Alamo Dome they're doing full. But yeah, I don't think there's any. Again, it's not great data, but there have been some lower scoring games. Again, you can throw all context in there. But anyway,
I think everybody should expect these games to be differently just because defense is going to be played, man. These are national championship games. Like win this game and you are in the natty. The carrot is being dangled and we got great players. Like I do expect defense to be played.
Well, I mean, to use a hockey example, right? They say in the playoffs, it goes, from round by round, the intensity goes up, and it's so much harder to
there you go
even put a shot on net, right? And the same thing with basketball. Like you're seeing la-di-da in the NBA right now because it's just it's tanking season. But when you get to the playoffs, the level goes up. Football, they say it as well. It escalates. Like the game is played so much faster in the postseason and the Super Bowl. So I think you see something like that too. Like these guys are the best of the best this season. They're 4 elite teams, and there's a reason why they've been beaten up on all the other teams. It's historically, like the data shows that they are 4 historically great teams, and if one of the 4 is alive in like a normal year, like last year, we're like it's Houston or Duke, whoever it is, versus the field. But I think in this one, it's the ultimate youth versus experience cliche, right? Because Houston's got the guys that have been there. The biggest difference this year with Houston is they've got guys that can shoot. In past years, it's been you're lucky to get to 60 either way, right? They've been just pure rock fights. They've got dudes that just hustle, rebound, but they've got Cryer, they've got Sharp that can make the shots that matter in the end. And I think that's the big difference with Houston and why, I mean, I have a futures ticket on them, as I think a bunch of us do here at the Gambler. But Duke's got the best player, right? They've got Cooper Flagg. He's the number 1 overall pick. He's been anointed that since his junior year of high school, and he's lived up to it. And the supporting cast is very strong as well. I mean, Con Knippel is going to be a lottery pick by all accounts. Malawach has played well, and they've got some very nice role players that fit in well. And John Shire is one hell of a coach. He's proven that from the start.
He is.
But I think it's a little too heavily priced in Duke's favor. I'd probably set this at 3-4. I get why Duke's favored, and I get why the number is what it is, because Duke has been damn near unstoppable all season. But I think Houston's a team that can frustrate them. I don't know if completely slow down is the word I'm looking for. I'm not playing this game because I have the Houston futures ticket, and I'm letting it be. But if you were to bet this game, I think you kind of have to lean Houston with the points, unless you're like yourself, who like it's a huge believer in Duke. And look, I don't hate that opinion at all, but I think the total I would just completely stay away from, because Houston could play really good defense and win the game, and the game could be close to 70. I could see that happening just because of the shot makers on both sides.
Yeah.
But again, I could also see this game being low 60s. Like I don't have a strong enough say to pick either way on the total. I think that the total makes you think a lot there.
Yeah, 71.5 is a team total, up from 70.5 earlier this week for Duke, but that's no surprise. That's a square play as far as the over is concerned. God bless you if you want to take it. I'm a square at times as well. Knock yourself out. 65.5 is the Houston play here as far as team total is concerned. -120, -110 for Duke there. So yeah, like the odds makers are telling you that that's right at the number. And would you be surprised if it was 71-65? No. Would you be surprised if it was 65-61? No.
No.
So, these are the ways that these games could play
Because
out.
Duke plays really good defense too. I
Look
think
what they did against Alabama.
Right, exactly. They play phenomenal defense too. I mean, to hold Alabama in the 60s, especially after the performance that Alabama had in the Sweet 16. I mean, that's really incredible too. I think we're all talking Houston defense because that's been their identity. But man, Duke's played some incredible defense too. I mean, I could really see this being like the extreme rock fight, 55, 60 points getting you the win. It wouldn't be appeasing basketball, but I could see a world where that happens way more than I would in Florida Auburn. I think if you're searching for points, you're definitely getting it from the early game.
Hopefully that is the case, and we will be on both of these games. Looking forward to it. Yeah, I am the odd man out on the Gambler Gang Slack chat. Everybody has Houston futures, and here I am going, go Duke. So,
but we need that guy though, because every time everybody in the entire group is on the same bet,
doesn't work.
It loses. We need you on that graphic. You're
for
on the college. You're the guy. You're Herbie on the college game day graphic, picking somebody else. We need you, and thank you for your sacrifice if Houston does win on Saturday.
Now, if only my bank account could look like Herbie, I'd be a lot better. But you're right. Except for Kyle Schwarber home opener, home run. Like everybody at Citizens Bank Park had Kyle Schwarber going yard, and of course he goes yard. And I'm like, are you serious right now? Unbelievable. But we will talk some Phillies in just a second. Really looking forward to it. All right, Joe, as far as the national championship is concerned, we do have numbers on DraftKings Sportsbook. They haven't moved at all. Anything surprising to you on this one? Florida would be favored over Houston by 1.5. Florida would be catching 4.5 against Duke. Duke would be a 5.5 point favorite against Auburn. Auburn would be catching a point against Houston in the national championship. Anything there pushing you to make a wager right here, right now?
No, but I think not with the spreads. But if you really like Auburn, they're plus 550 to win it all.
Yeah,
like if you're very passionate about Auburn, and you think they can not only beat Florida, but then beat Duke or Houston, I mean, that's a really enticing number at 550. Again, it all comes down to what you think Johni Broom's impact is going to be. The injury could mean nothing, right? He could be perfectly fine on Saturday, and Auburn looks like the team they have been all year.
What do you think? I think he's fine.
Yeah, I think he's fine. Yeah.
I think he's honest. He came out. He said he's practiced. Do we not have any footage of him practicing yesterday? Will we have any footage of him practicing today?
I'm sure there'll be footage if they're already in San Antonio. Yeah. So somebody will have footage. But yeah, I mean, look, if you really like Auburn, like really, really like them, and you think Broom's okay, 550 to win the Natty right now, that's your way to go.
Yeah, with you on that one. Yeah, the futures right now, minus 110, Duke to win it all, Florida 3-1, Houston plus 425, Auburn plus 550. I was taking a shot at the exact results. Duke over Florida plus 235. That's how I believe it's going to play out, so why not take a little spot on that one? Although I would expect a little bit more. However, we know that Florida is favored 2.5 there. The most money is when you involve Auburn, and it wouldn't shock me. That would be the least surprising thing to me if Auburn beat Florida. I mean that. But we'll see. We'll see. Again, these two games are going to be phenomenal. Can't wait. What do you think is going to be the better game after it's all said and done on Saturday night?
Depends on what your
Joe Tansey. What do you think?
Duke versus Houston's by far the better game.
I agree.
But if you like points, if you like offense, Florida Auburn's your game. It's everybody's got a different taste when it comes to basketball. But in terms of matchup, though, I mean, Duke Houston is just I'm just salivating at the bit to watch the game.
Is there anything there with experience? I know you jabbed at it there, but Kelvin Sampson, of course, 3, Bruce Pearl 2, and then you got none for Golden and Shire. This is their first Final Four appearance. Is there anything there as far as experience factor for your handicapping?
No, because they haven't won it. I think if they had won one, that would make maybe a little bit of a difference. But I'm not shouting from the rooftops that just because they've made Final Fours in the past, that that will be that much advantage. Maybe it helps, but I think the experience and the cohesion that Houston has, that's probably the best advantage in terms of experience you can get. But they're playing to perceive the best team. So who knows?
All right. Great stuff, Joe, on all things Final Four. Be sure to read him at crossingbroad.com. You can find him on all things socials as well. And good luck on all of those plays. Now, let's shift gears and get on over to the Diamond. Let's talk about the Phillies and the Dodgers, which is a big-time series here on April 4th. Just having fun, but just from a standpoint of a observer, as a fan, like, yeah, Major League Baseball, this is hitting. And I'll tell you what, before we get into that real quick, first of all, this is a segment that we are rolling out, the Grand Slam here on The Gambler, and we have 2 grand openings as far as locations are concerned for our friends over at Gerhardt's Appliances. Folks, check them out at gerhardtsappliance.com. 2 new showrooms added to the mix. Last weekend they opened up, one in King of Prussia, the other in Phoenixville. Go ahead and get on over to gerhardtsappliance.com to find out exactly where they are. Henderson Road in King of Prussia, Nut Road, I want to say, in Phoenixville. But man, I'll tell you what, knowing what I know about Gerhardt's, true story, 80 plus years of servicing all things Philadelphia and the surrounding area. It's our team. It's our home team. It's like the Phils that we're just going to discuss here. Everything you need at gerhardtsappliance.com, over 80 years. So what I'm asking you is to simply support the home team. That's right. Whether you need kitchen appliances, new washer, dryer, refrigeration, new grills, obviously outdoor seasons. So they got a great seasonal department, dishwashers, you name it, all the appliances. They don't do computers and all that. Appliances. Support Gerhardt's because they've been supporting Philadelphia for the last 80 plus years. Again, I'll be out there at that King of Prussia showroom very soon. Can't wait. A friend of mine who's a real estate agent who constantly has to buy new spots, new things for his house, his properties. So, hey, man, I checked them out. Great deals. No BS there. So check out Gerhardt'sAppliance.com. With that being said, let's go ahead and fire up DraftKings Sportsbook, Joe, and talk about today's game from the Phillies and the Dodgers. This is the Apple TV game. Doesn't mean anything as far as starting early. 6:45 start here. Yamamoto on the mound for the Dodgers. Jesus Luzardo on the mound for the Phillies. And you can get the home fighting Phils, who handled the LA Dodgers last year, albeit a different season. Still explosive lineup. Ohtani was there. Phillies are plus 110. Yamamoto minus 138 is your total in that one. Rain looking like it's going to hold off today, this evening. Maybe some showers scattered, but nothing to be too worried about. Warm outside, so maybe it could help the ball lift.
Hitting weather.
Hitting weather, as Charlie Manuel would say. I will say this, though, Joe, and I mean this. 2 nights ago, I watched that Arizona Diamondbacks-Yankees game. And I was like, dude, this feels like playoff baseball. And then I had to look. Yeah, it was April 2nd. Like, calm down. So, like, I can't make a big deal about it. But as a fan, this is pretty cool. This is really cool. The Phillies are a great baseball team. The Dodgers, fair to say, are even better. They're amazing. And they're living up to
baseball.
Yeah, they're incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the opportunity. Put the paper to the side. Let's see what you got. Luzardo has looked pretty good. Mm-hmm. Phillies have a chance tonight?
It's not like Luzardo was a bad pitcher either. I mean, he was sidelined by injuries, but when he was healthy in Miami, he's pretty damn good. Like, that's going to end up being like a sneaky good addition to that rotation. Now, here's the thing. It's like it's the Dodgers, though. And now the good news is no Freddie Freeman on the IL.
Saw that.
But there's still Ohtani, Mookie Betts in that line. That's insane to say, right? Like, oh, Freddie Freeman's out. You think that's going to be like a little bit of an advantage? No, we're just going to shove Shohei and Mookie Betts in your face. This whole series is going to be fascinating. Which, by the way, I'm not going to make excuses for the Dodgers, but whoever put their schedule together really just probably hates them and likes them to travel. I mean, they have to go to Japan for the opening series, come back home.
That's what happens when you got the biggest the biggest star ever in sports since Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods.
I don't think Carl Ravitch watches soccer. Doesn't strike me as a footy guy.
Should we be all bent out of shape because he said it?
No.
Okay. Should soccer people be raising up a stink just for the sake of like, hey, I'm on the timeline getting the views and I'm doing it for the better.
I'll tell you
betterment of our game.
I'll tell you as a soccer person, anytime there's a stink to be made, soccer people will make the stink.
It's stinky.
They will find a way to make a stink about soccer.
Stink it up.
I've done it. I'm guilty of it. But if there's ever a stink to be made, don't you worry. Soccer Twitter will step right in and make that stink for you.
It's hysterical.
Always tried and true.
Yep.
But yeah, don't think Carl's a big Premier League guy. Doesn't strike me as one.
He stepped on a hornet's nest with that one. That's all right though.
You know what? Better him than me.
Yeah.
It's interesting, right? Because so Luzardo and Yamamoto, both their props are sitting at 5.5, and the Dodgers, again, the travel schedule starting in LA and then have to go East Coast. It's not exactly ideal. But again, no one has any pity for the Dodgers, and will never have any pity for the Dodgers because they have billions of dollars invested in their roster. The Yamamoto thing, though, is interesting because he was okay against the Cubs in the opener, but that's an opener. But then had 10 strikeouts against the Tigers over 5. Did give up 2 home runs in that game, so he is a little vulnerable and has been throughout his career. Like it's weird because he'll have really good games, but then he is vulnerable to a little bit. Now, he was better on the road last year, 2.06 ERA compared to 3.88 at home, which is not Christopher Sanchez type level, but that's pretty darn close. And this is the bad sign for the Phillies because a lot of their power bats come from the left. Left-handed hitters only hit 193 against him last year. It's tough. So that's something to consider. I think strikeout wise, that's something to look at. I know a lot of people don't like betting against the Phillies, but I'm a neutral party here, and I'm looking at it from all angles. I actually like this over at DraftKings race to 3 strikeouts. Yamamoto's even money compared to Luzardo at minus 135. I think that's a bet you can take advantage of. Look, it's going to be tough because if Luzardo comes out and is 11 strikeout Luzardo against the Nats, could be, but I'm looking at those numbers, and if they're low against lefties, and you're going to see Harper, you're going to see Schwarber, you're going to see Kepler right in that top 5, and I think it's worth looking at, especially with what the Dodgers have up top. You have Ohtani, you have Betts, and oh, by the way, some of their guys in the middle of that order, Teoscar Hernandez and Will Smith. Anytime I see Teoscar Hernandez facing a left-hander, he's an auto bet for me.
Okay.
He's incredible against left-handed pitching. I'll get the exact numbers up, but myself and Luke Arcani have it. We go back and forth every day about like who we're going to bet, and the second, one of the number one things on our checklist is Teoscar Hernandez facing a left-handed pitcher, and we go right after it, attack it, because he historically has killed left-handed pitching. So I look at that with the Dodgers lineup, and Will Smith does as well. And then of course you have Ohtani, who's good against anybody. You have Betts in there. Tommy Edmonds pretty decent against left-handers as well. I would assume he's going to be higher up in the order tonight without Freddie Freeman in there. So I look at the matchup, and I think Yamamoto raised to 3 strikeouts, giving me that even money. I will gladly take that and run with it from a betting perspective, because it's I just like the matchup a lot better than I do with anybody else. Hernandez last year, 290 batting average against left-handed pitching. And I'm getting them up now, but they're pretty distinct.
Wow.
Yeah, he's very good. Here we
But
go.
he's an everyday player though, right? Like every day.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, his batting average was 25 points higher
Hmm.
against left-handed pitching, and a 931 OPS compared to 808 OPS versus left-handed to right-handed pitching. So he's a guy I circle regardless. There's not a lot of batter versus pitcher history. The Phils haven't seen Yamamoto. The Dodgers have seen Luzardo in spades, but there's not like a significant history to go off of in that one. And let me pull up. Yeah, I know I'm like skewing Dodgers since this is the last thing you want to hear, but they're very good against lefties, specifically some of their guys. Will Smith as well had over 150 points better OPS against left-handed pitching last year than compared to right-handed. So I know that the focus is going to be on Ohtani, on Betts, no Freeman, but the Dodgers against lefties are very dangerous. I probably look into, from a hitting prop perspective, into Hernandez and Will Smith.
Yeah. Look, it's an April 4th series. The Phillies are not, they already lost the game. They're going to lose plenty more.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers stay hot here and get today's game. I'm not betting it from that angle, but I am on that race to 3, Joe. That's an interesting play. And of course, you get the juices going while you're down there. I'll have some fun with that even money. I like that angle. And I like the Hernandez angle as well. So maybe total bases.
Yeah,
Hernandez.
Definitely. Everybody is plus money. Oh, I mean, look, Shohei Ohtani's plus money, two plus total bases, a 105 at DraftKings. I get the matchup, but I mean,
last time the guy took the field, he hit a walk-off. And it was the easiest walk-off I've ever seen in my life.
He makes it look so easy.
It was like he went up to the dish and you knew what he was doing. You knew what he was going to do, and he just first swing. Gone.
There's a handful of players in our lifetime that you just know.
Yep.
When the big moment hits, Curry's one of them. LeBron. Yep. There's you can name a handful of Mahomes that when they're in a spot they're going to come up with it. Yeah. So I don't know. Give me a Philly or two. I have the Dodgers. Let's say Ohtani, Teoscar. Who are we taking from the Phillies? Schwarbs?
Schwarber is about as hot as it gets, but this could be a spot. Harper got it going somewhat yesterday. I could stay with him here. Again, this is a big, this is a big game for these guys, so they're going to be focused in here.
As much as we say big game for, the Dodgers have these guys, the Phillies have these guys as well. I mean, they're going to rise to the occasion. It's humid, it's hitting weather. Well, you know what? I'll put my neck on the line here. We'll do
going Tasty.
Oh no. Right. Nobody died yet.
Although the stock markets and it could have died, but other than that.
By the way, I think we're getting close to jumping the shark with the Castellanos stuff. We might have already jumped the shark.
Oh God, yeah, that was last year, but he still continues to do it every once in a while, so it does keep it. Rejuvenated.
It gets the retweets going the second he does it in tragedy. Give me, let's see. Oh, this is a nice and juicy price. Okay. Give me Shohei Ohtani, Teoscar Hernandez, and then Schwarbs and Bryce Harper, all that have 2 total bases, plus 2,000 same game parlay at DraftKings.
Ooh.
And let me get the hits out there as well, because just in case we just get singles. Shohei, Teoscar, Schwarber, and Harper gets you plus 365 for all of them to have a hit in that game.
Okay. I like it. Go Phils. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a fun night at the Ball Yard. All right, Joe, coming down the home stretch, let's hit you with some quick hitters here and a little rapid fire, 30 seconds on each, if you would not mind. We'll open up with the Philadelphia Union. Tough loss against Inter Miami. They got a game at home Saturday night taking on Orlando. Your thoughts on the early start for the Philadelphia Union so far, and, of course, whether or not they'll win on Saturday?
It's still early. Look, they should win at home, and the Miami game is a good loss. You lose 2-1. And your only goal in the winning goal was scored by Messi. You kind of have to take that in April. and run with it. It is what it is. They should beat Orlando at home. Kyle Wagner most likely will not play. It's questionable. Wasn't doing work on the side, so that kind of affects how they play. Still early. Time will tell if they're a serious playoff contender, but early on looks pretty good.
All right. Name that Sixer.
Give it to me.
Who the F is Colin Castleton?
Florida Gator great.
There you go. Had a little bit of a run around the league with Toronto, 21 games this year. Played for Memphis for 10 games this year. Played for the Lakers 16 games last year. And last night played for the 76ers after being signed on the day of. It was actually getting some plays in there. Was down and dirty. Trying to find his points. Did he score a point last night? Oh, he did. He scored 2 points. Nice work there by Colin Castleton. So Florida Gator great. Colin Castleton, come on down. Get me to the finish line, please. Speaking of finish line, this is a topic that I'm ready to put a bullet in as well. 30 seconds or less on this one. Diana Rossini, inside the insiders. She says today the tush push is officially in trouble. She says, I get the sense the NFL will find a way to ban the play in 2025. How do they ban that play, Joe, if they are going to do that?
See, I thought when you were going to go bullet, I thought you were going to talk about John Morant. That would have been icing on the cake.
I'm so over the tush push. It's just ridiculous. But how do they officially ban the play if it does happen in your mind? What's the terminology?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because I've seen people say you can't run it inside the 2-yard line. Is that banning the play? No, that's not banning the play.
Well, here's the thing. QB sneaks are still going to exist.
Correct.
And so I think it's the push. So they're going to, I think the way you say it is.
It's the tush push.
Is leverage. There's no leverage onto the quarterback, onto the rusher. I think that's how you have to do it. But you have to be very specific in your wording, like no leverage coming from the player behind the rusher, because then teams will try and find a way around the rule, right? If it's any bit ambiguous. From the Eagles case, look, just run QB sneaks. You have the best offensive line in football. Like you can still convert 3rd, 4th, and 1 with the offensive. Like the offensive line is the key to the play because they get the initial push. It's just the actual formation and then how they go behind the quarterback is different than what we've seen in 100 years of football. So in the wording of the rule, they have to do leverage. Leverage has to be involved, and they have to be very specific in how leverage is created, and it can't be created because there's going to be a team that tries something different. Might just be the Eagles and how they work around the rule and then how it gets officiated that way. So look, every rule there's a workaround. I'll be interested to see how they word it though, and then what the workaround is. I'm sure there's people inside the Eagles building already scheming how to alter the tush push. Tush push 2.0 coming your way this season.
I like that. Anyway, we could stop talking about banning it. Just whatever. Again, Jalen Hurts is running that play very effective because of who Jalen Hurts is. And by the way, one of the best, if not the best, offensive line in the NFL. One of the best I've ever seen. And they continue.
I checked out in the tush push conversation probably sooner than you checked out in the Sixers this year.
Yeah, torpedo bats, tush push. It's a slow time of year. We got to build these things up a little bit. But it's not a slow daily ticket, man. A lot of winners, a lot of great discussion, Joe. You can read them at crossingbroad.com. JTanzi90 on socials. Does a great job covering the Philadelphia Union as well. Keep it locked right here to The Gambler. More Final Four discussion coming your way and more Philadelphia Union conversation coming your way with a brand new X's in the U. Sebastian Letou, Philadelphia Union all-time great. Matty G and Adam Booth waxing poetic on all things boys in the blue. Boys in the blue. Yeah, there we go. Joe, great stuff, man. Good luck on all those plays. And Go Marlins. I will talk to you over the weekend. Everybody keep it locked right here to The Gambler. And if you miss anything, at FoxPHLGambler.com.